So when I originally got Stan to come, Stan, we'll take you out to dinner, we'll do this and that. So he flew in, we limoed him to the store, and when he was taking his break, he says, "You don't have to take me to a fancy restaurant." He goes, "I saw McDonald's out there." He goes, "I want a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke." And I think Stan was about 88 at the time. But anyway, I'm like, no problem. So we ran out and got McDonald's, and Stan had McDonald's at the store. So that was kind of cool. Okay, my name's Phil Schlafer. I own Champion Comics. I'm originally from San Jose, had multiple stores there called Heroes and Heroes and Champions. Sold the shops and moved out here a couple of months ago and opened here on 529 East Camelback Road.
What city are we in?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Right on.
I got into comic books when my dad would take me to the barber shop in the 60s, right? I'm 5 or 6 years old, and in those days the barber shops would have a little basket with magazines and stuff to keep people busy while they're waiting to get in the chair and get their hair cut. And the guy would have, Sports Illustrateds in there, Life magazines, and then there'd be a handful of comics in there. Typically they were Archie's or Harvey comics or something, but every once in a while there'd be some Supermans or Batmans in there. And so I would sit there and read through those while I'm waiting to get my hair cut. And then I used to like to draw, so I would, go home and try to draw them, but you couldn't take them with you. But I wasn't old enough to go to a store and buy them for myself. And then I'd ask my parents to get me some, and my dad didn't think comics were any good, and he thought they were junk, so he wouldn't buy me comics. And then a few years later, there was some kids down the street that were older than me, 3 brothers. And I used to go down there and shoot baskets with them, right? Now I'm probably 8 years old, maybe 9. And the older brother had a bunch of comics out in an apple crate, probably 100 comics stacked up in there, and he was selling them. And in those days, I got 50 cents a week allowance on a Saturday. So this is Saturday, I get my allowance in the morning. I just cut all the grass and washed the cars and did whatever my dad told me to do. Got my 50 cents in my pocket, and I decided to go down the street to go play basketball with these guys, and they're having a garage sale. I see these comics. Hey, how much you want for the comics? And the guy says, they're a penny a piece. In those days, right? I mean, the cover price was 12 cents still. And how many you got in there? And he counts them all up, and he goes, well, how much money you got? I go, I got 50 cents. And he goes, I'll give you the whole thing for 50 cents. So I'm like, yes. So I had to run back home about 8 houses down the street, get my little red wagon, start hucking it down the street to pick up this crate because I can't lift it by myself. My little brother's like, what are you doing? So he's following me. So we go down there and we huck up this crate, put it in the wagon, wheel it back to my house. My brother and I huck it into the house, and we had bunk beds at the time, so on the bottom bunk we're putting the comics out on the bed to check them out. My dad walks by, he comes in from the backyard somehow, and he walks past us and he looks in the room and he goes, "What is all that crap?" "Hey Dad, we bought all these comics from down the street, you know, blah blah blah." He goes, "How much you pay for all that stuff?" I said, 50 cents. And he goes, "What? You've only had your money in your pocket for a half hour and you blew it already? That's no way to budget and save your money. Take that stuff back there and get the money back." We're like, "What? No, Dad, no, no, no." And he's all, "Take it back, get your money back. You got to learn to budget your money." So now we're crying. We put the stuff back in the wagon, reel it down the street, and I'm trying to get my money back from this guy, and he's probably 13, and he wouldn't give it to me. So then I made such a stink, the dad came out and said, "I'll give him his 50 cents back." So he got the comics back, I got my 50 cents back. And that was my big, and I remember it was a bunch of Silver Age Marvels and DCs. But that stuck in my head, so then when another year later went by, I could ride my bike out of the neighborhood and start going to stores, right? Stop and Go or 7-Eleven or wherever. I started buying them. So that's how I started with comics. Long story. So what I've decided to do at this point, after having full service shops for 40 years, this is vintage only. So not much modern stuff in here. This stuff all dates back to the 30s, so I have a lot of old pulps on the wall there. I've got Golden Age comics, lots of Silver and Bronze Age, and stuff closer to the modern age here and there, but mostly old stuff. I also specialize in the rarities of the promotions for stores, original art, posters, the Marvel Mania stuff, DC Comics, Amazing World, that type of stuff. The vintage things you don't see very often. And then I have probably more magazines than anybody in the country that are on display for sale. There's almost 100 magazine boxes out on the floor for sale. Marvel, Curtis, Warren magazines, Famous Monsters, you name it.
Wait, what is that again?
Progressive cover proof.
And what is it? Oh,
So before the book went to the printer for final printing, they did a progressive proof. So they did the color separations to get it matched up properly. So they only do one of these.
how'd you get your hands on that?
I have a bunch of these.
Wow.
This one I framed. So yeah, it's cool. You see how they got the black and white, then the color separations, and then you get the full thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it comes in a folder that's stapled together, and but I pulled it apart. All right, this is, that's the Surfer Marvel Mania poster. Let me put this right here. All right, that's the 7-Eleven Slurpee display that went on the top of the Slurpee machine when you got your superhero cups.
Right on.
That's the Foom Steranko poster. when you were a member. This is the display for all the Marvel Blacklight posters. This is uncut, never been used. That's rare. There's the old Marvel Mania Doctor Doom poster. And a lot of these are signed by Stan. There's another Galactus. And I have tons of the Blacklight ones that came out in 1971.
Whoa.
These are all originals. These are not the reprints. So I have all 24.
There were 24 in all?
There were 24. So everyone you saw here on this thing, that's all 24 of them. So I have every one of the original ones all framed, ready to go.
Wow.
So all of that is going to go along that wall there.
Okay.
So when you walk in, you're going to see all this cool vintage blacklight posters and this kind of crazy stuff.
Now, what was this first one down here that I saw?
This?
Yeah.
This is the letters page from Iron Man #1.
Oh, wow.
That's in the back of the issue, and I had Stan Lee sign it.
Nice.
And there's more stuff. It's just all big.
Wow. Wow.
He signed the little statues I have over there. I was just going to the back room pulling stuff out of, will you sign this? So he just signed it for another hour. So I have, you know, like these little statues. He signed the back of the statues, right? I had him sign that Giants pop. Anything that wasn't bolted down, I had him sign it. All right, signed. So it was cool. And then he let me interview him. Sat down for an interview. We did like a 10-minute question and answer interview thing. And I'll show you the YouTube video.
While we're back here, can you tell me about this? Can you tell me about what are
Okay.
in these canisters right here?
You're recording this?
Yeah.
Those canisters right there are the original Marvel superhero cartoons from '66. So each one of those was originally shown at the New York TV station. These are the originals. And then Phil Suling, and this pink flyer here, Phil Suling ran the New York cons in the '60s, the very first organized big conventions. And he would show those in a side room at the convention. So those came from Phil Suling, and those are the original ones. And luckily, I got some of the best episodes. I've got the one where Captain America is found in the ice, Avengers 4, the first Submariner one, the first Loki. So I have an episode from each one of the characters. So the Iron Man, the Submariner, what's the other ones? Thor, Hulk, and there's another one. So anyway, those are all the original ones. Been sitting in there for years.
Tell me about. I've never seen these Marvel.
Those are the Marvel
stamp.
Value Stamp books. So there is Series 2, the red one, and those are, one is complete and one is empty. And then these are the first series Marvel Value Stamps. I got quite a few of those books, and a lot of them have multiple autographs and such on them. And every one of those is full except for, I think, 2 are incomplete, and then 1 is just blank. These are the original subscription mailers. When you got a subscription to Marvel Comics back in the day, that's how they used to ship them. Folded over and then unfolded. These are original FOOM membership cards, signed. Steranko, Gene Colan, Stan Lee. That is the very first San Diego Comic-Con attendee badge.
Incredible stuff.
These are Merry Marvel Marching Society and Marvel Mania stuff. There's Secrets of the Comics from the 40s that Stan Lee did. I have 3 of them. Those are all signed. These are Marvel Mania magazines. This stuff is from the desk of Stan Lee. Those were his notations, had him sign those. That's the original script that Stan Lee wrote for FF 102. The original one from Marvel had Stan sign that. Golden Record reprint, FF number 1, signed by Stan with the record and the sleeve.
All right. Any closing words?
Come check it out.
Right on.